pony head!
Well, welcome ladies and gentlemen to the Skooled analysis video. It was just the previous predictions video when I had claimed that Disney was gonna try and pull a fast one on us. And boy was I right. Wow, Meteora finally shows up and attempts to oh, I'm sorry. She doesn't attempt. She flat out obliterates every single person in her way. Oh, and as for the waffle test segment, it lasted about 4 minutes, and most importantly, the answer was more bacon. I was wrong, so just rub it in while you can. But anyways, Meteora's transformation becomes more and more intense by each moment, and the more drastic her appearance becomes, the more gruesome and more alike she becomes when comparing her to her father. Throughout the episode, we learn that Meteora is there to not take over St. Olga's, but to also take over Muni just as suspected. She was technically the rightful heir to the throne, but it was mainly so she could retrieve her past memories from St. Olga herself, aka a freaking robot. After years of speculation, the answer is finally revealed that St. Olga was the one to raise Meteora after Shasta Canon refused to raise her himself. I mean, that does explain why Meteora was allowed to rule over St. Olga's for some time, but why the guards are robots? That can, by the way, easily be reprogrammed with a particular device or mechanical exploding heart. I'll get to that soon. And why Eclipsa never got the opportunity to see her daughter once more. Turns out Eclipsa must have been crystallized sooner by Romulus than I originally theorized. Now let's get back on track and talk about the robot herself, St. Olga, because if you've seen the episode already, you know you want me to. Before St. Olga presents Meteora with the harsh truth, it was pre-programmed with an entirely different memory stating that St. Olga found Meteora on the streets of Muni. So Gemini simply had to go inside to change the settings on St. Olga so it can display the non-fabricated clips. And since this is possible, I'm up to believe that someone from the Magic High Commission once again played some part in this. Specifically Hekapoo, since we saw her clearly switching babies with Shasta Canon in the episode The Butterfly Trap. However, for all of you who oppose, you can say that the evidence that the box displayed was a mere summary of what happened, not entirely the exact truth. A perfect example is for when we see the box of truth show Shasta Canon tossing Meteora in the air. I'm confident that this didn't necessarily happen, but yet was a way to show just how stingy he was. Now, the very first memory we see is Meteora when she was about in her 20s or 30s possibly, which is when the brainwashing events most likely began to take its course for the very first time. She didn't exactly seem too brainwashed in her earlier years. We still don't know if St. Olga was the main blame as for why Meteora had to be forced into brainwashing, but I once again completely theorize it was a member from the MHC. As we travel back through the course of Meteora's memories, it's depressing to learn just how outrageously horrible she was raised. The robot, starting from when Meteora was just a child, scolded her for having her cheek marks glowing. Which is kinda stupid because don't they know that this was what humans do when they dip down? It's a normal trait that they tend to have that even Glossaric rightfully teaches to his students.
Well, I find it a little insulting, frankly.
And by the way, doesn't that mean that her magic is uncontrollable? Usually the glowing represents that you're dipping down deep to perform magic. And she was just a kid. It could mean that her magic could potentially be stronger than not only her mother, but Star herself. For Muni's sake, let's just all hope for the best. But as for the robot, it probably didn't want her to show off her cheek marks to remain confident that no one would identify her as not only the rightful future queen, but also as a relative of the butterfly family. And keep this in mind, this was something done to Meteora throughout her entire life. She probably doesn't even remember what any of her parents truly looked like. It's possible that Meteora was taken by St. Olga after months of age. Let's not forget about Meteora in her old nursery room that was clearly hidden underneath the monster temple. And we can all agree that it would only open whenever Meteora herself would activate it with her cheek marks. And it's something made by Eclipsa herself before she could never see her again, since we all know darn well that the Magic High Commission wouldn't have allowed her to be surrounded by her real parents' sculptures, paintings, and toys. They must have found out about the secret passage after some time of Eclipsa keeping it a secret and brought them to Shasta Canon, who debates the baby's fate. And that's my theory of the past timeline explained in detail. Alright, But what about her name? Heinous. Should have seen this coming, but her name derived from Shastakan himself after rudely calling her heinous once he witnessed her for some time. And well, after that, Meteora smashes the crap out of Saint Olga, crushing her to her doom. And this episode's madness does not stop there. Like I mentioned recently, Meteora's appearance becomes even more terrifying over time, and this time to the point where Rastakor of all people is afraid and tries to slowly reject her. And yes, this entire time they were together, who would have thunk? Things don't exactly turn in the right direction for Meteora, so she rips Gemini's heart out and tosses it over to Rastakor, practically killing them both. It's just as drastic as it sounds, and this episode proves that Disney XD is creating this show to be more violent like Gravity Falls.
Anything will be possible. When I get my hands on you kids, I'm gonna disassemble your molecules! I've got the kids! I think I'm gonna kill one of them now, just for the heck of it!
Whoa. Almost ran over my own head there. Wow.
Okay, baby steps, never mind. We're not quite there yet, guys. But who else didn't know that Gemini was a robot either, considering the fact that he indeed had affection towards Meteora even after her transformation? Maybe he'll get to have it back one episode and he can finish confessing to her. And as for Rastakor, He might return. Once again, his arm is left in the hands of Meteora, so it's about to go down. And most of all, he can regenerate, so yeah, it's definitely possible. And though the episode ended, there are things to consider. One crucial point in the episode that needs some time mentioning is how Ponyhead's horn gets taken off by Meteora while in battle for the school. So this would explain the promo for Ponyhead in the episode Bam Ui Pati, or however you pronounce that thing, when she is seen without her horn. We don't necessarily see her afterwards, but one would assume that she simply no longer has the ability to fly, let alone perform magic after that. Usually when a unicorn's horn is chipped off or just broken off completely, their magic doesn't exactly work out for them as good. I wonder what this all means for the future of Muni. The synopsis for Divide and Conquer clearly shows that Meteora reaches Muni and causes some sort of havoc. And without the monsters there to support the Muni borderlines, do you really believe that Muni can fend for themselves? They couldn't even take on against a freaking single monster in the Marco and the King episode earlier in the season, and it wasn't even there to fight. And I don't care if that monster was huge, look at how defenseless they were in that episode. The state of Muni is at an extreme risk, and it's not looking so bright and full of colorful magic as of right now. But who am I to say? Only the future will tell. That just about covers the entire episode. This was something that no one needs to miss out on, trust me. Can't wait for Meteora to reunite with her mother once more, and I wonder if Eclipse's husband is still alive as well. This has been The Next Big Thing, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace!
It was not easy. You should thank me.
Yeah, thank you!